Yeah, people will be doing exactly the same foolish things they do now.
What's in your wallet right now?
I'd say about probably $400 or $500.
Are we going to have cash in 5 years?
Yeah.
10?
Sure.
20?
Yeah.
Taking them back to Omaha, Piccolo's, you're going to have a root beer float and some prime rib with one of the two Marks, Mark Zuckerberg or Mark Cuban. Who is it?
Probably Mark Cuban, because I'd understand more of what he was saying.
Let's talk about what Americans are seeing now. You have the stock market near all-time highs, but on the flip side of things, most investors, the average investors, have their lowest amount of trust in stocks ever.
Well, they're wrong.
You think they're wrong?
Well, trust in stocks is trust in American business. I mean, that's all stocks are, as a part of American business. And American business has done very, very well for people for a long, long time. Now, there's lots of interruptions, and there can be market panics, and there can be all kinds of things. But business will keep turning out more and more goods, and they'll be earning more and more money over time. And the people that own American business are going to do well over time. I don't have the faintest idea what's going to happen next year or 2 years from now or next week or next month, but I do know that 10 years from now and 20 years from now and 30 years from now, the people that have owned stocks will have done well.
Do you think, though, that we could be at a tipping point here? If corporate America in this year doesn't make big investments, in some cases do some wage increases, and really think about growing and expanding their businesses, does that hurt the framework of this recovery?
Well, I think most businesses are thinking about it. Every business is trying to sell more goods this year than last year, including all the ones Berkshire has. We spent $11 billion on plant and equipment last year, and we'll spend more this year. American business wants to do more business, and they're doing it. I mean, that's what's happened in the last 4 years, ever since the fall of 2009, year after year. Our railroad is carrying a lot more goods than it was 2 or 3 or 4 years ago. They're somebody else's goods, but we're moving them. So,
which is always a good sign for the economy and recovery and movement.
Oh, sure. Our economy is moving forward, and has been moving forward ever since the fall of 2009. It has not been galloping forward, but it has been moving forward at a perfectly decent clip.
Is there something that would get it galloping right now today?
Well, that's what everybody wants, but I mean, sure, you can drop $1 million from the sky on every household, and they'll rush out and spend it, and money won't be worth much after that. But you can create demand various ways in the society. But the trouble is in economics, you always have to say, and then what? And there's a big and then what to pushing that sort of stimulus forth.
You've been very vocal about the housing recovery. If I am a potential first-time home buyer in most of the markets in America, I've got a job, prices haven't increased so much in my community, do I buy a house this spring? What does Warren Buffett say?
Well, I say if you plan to live in the locale where you are for some time, I don't think you should buy with the idea of selling it a year later or 2 years later. If you plan to live in it for a significant period of time, by all means buy it. It was one of the best purchases I ever made, 56 years ago, I bought the house I'm living in today. Brought all kinds of happiness. Today you can buy it with very, very cheap money. I mean, you're getting a terrific deal on the mortgage now. So if I
how much longer, by the way, do you think that'll last?
I don't know. I wish if I knew that, I'd go out and speculate in Treasury futures. I'm no good at that sort of thing.
All right, I want you to have a swig of your Coca-Cola.
Good.
Because we're about to do a rapid-fire Real Biz challenge. Are you ready?
Okay. Okay.
You've had your Coca-Cola.
Right.
You're ready to go. All right. Are you an Apple or a Samsung man?
I'll show you this is my cell phone.
How do you tweet on that thing?
Alexander, it's falling apart, as a matter of fact. No, Alexander Graham Bell gave me
With
this.
your
actually.
room key in the middle,
yeah, right.
which is black, by the way, so no one knows where you're actually staying, which is good. Alexander Graham Bell gave you the phone.
That's
so how do you tweet?
I don't. I've had 5 tweets, and another person did it for me.
Another person took care of it.
Yeah.
Have you ever bought anything on Amazon?
My assistant has bought it for me. She bought quite a few books for me.
Books?
Yeah.
What was the last book you had her buy on Amazon?
I'm not sure I remember, but actually, they were older books that I've already got in my library, but it's too much trouble to try and find them in my library, so I just buy another copy.
How many books are in your library?
Too many.
Which industry that we rely on today is going to be gone by the time our grandchildren grow up? For example, cars. Are they still going to rely on gas?
Over time, that will diminish dramatically.
What are we going to be surprised has barely changed 50 years from now?
Human nature. Yeah, people will be doing exactly the same foolish things they do now.
Are we ever going to see a Jetsons-like world? Food, pills, and jetpacks?
Not for me.
What's in your wallet right now?
I'd say about probably $400 or $500.
$400 or $500
Something like that,
in
yeah.
cash.
Yeah,
Is that what you're always carrying?
I generally carry something like that.
In
yeah.
20s or 50s or hundreds?
Well, I've got a few hundred.
I want to see. Let's see.
You want to see? Okay,
yes,
sure.
I do.
Yeah, well, most women do. You're not unusual. What have I got? I've got 5 100s.
5 100s.
Yeah, and then some.
All right, a 10, a couple ones, a 5.
This is-
You're ready to tip and you're ready to dine out
sure.
and have a big night out on the
This,
town
yeah,
tonight.
this is pretty standard.
Are we going to have cash in 5 years?
Yeah,
10?
sure.
20?
Yeah, yeah.
We're going to keep being a cash
We'll
society.
we'll use cash.
How about credit
Well, no,
cards?
I don't. Well, we'll have loads of credit cards and everything else, and we'll have lots of systems of payment, but we'll have a lot of cash.
Who would you rather have lunch with at Piccolo's? We like Smith and Wollensky, but taking them back to Omaha, Piccolo's, you're going to have a root beer float and some prime rib with one of the two Marks, Mark Zuckerberg or Mark Cuban. Who is it?
Probably Mark Cuban, because I'd understand more of what he was saying.
What are you going to talk about with him?
Well, we'd talk basketball and probably gambling, a few things like that.
All right. Well, Warren Buffett, we really appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Okay.